Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boys. I'm Matt. He's Lenny.
Bang, bang.
And we are back in Good Taste Studios, and we are feeling good. How about you, Lenny?
I'm feeling great, Matt. It's been a while. It's
Unfortunately,
I've missed you.
it's been a weird thing where like the universe has been bringing me to where I need to be, and it's right next to you, buddy.
Yeah, we've run into some snags the past couple of weeks. We were on a really good rhythm there of getting shit out, right?
It's the equivalent of sledding down a really big hill,
Yeah.
and just as you're getting to the fun part, you just hit that rock.
Yeah, and
It takes you right off steam.
this rock was poor recording quality for whatever reason. You know, like the week before, we had an issue also where we couldn't get video out because we lost like a portion of video at the end that we thought it was recording. It's just been a mess, but this is like the ebbs and flows of starting a podcast YouTube channel thing, right?
We had an off week.
Yeah,
I think everybody's entitled
give us
to
a break. But I know the streets have been asking where you guys have been at, and we have been cooking up new ideas, and here we are with a new episode, man.
And we're back. Make sure if you've already been tuning into the channel and you haven't done so already, make sure you're finding that subscribe button. Make sure you're hitting us in the comments. And how are we starting this off, buddy?
So we are going to be doing primarily, Matt, an episode based around some pop culture news, and we're not talking TikTok. No D'Amelio conversation here, buddy.
No, we're talking hot goss.
Yeah, hot movie goss, dude.
And this is really like your sweet spot.
This is a preferred topic of mine. It goes like wrestling, movies, MMA. And I know that's weird because we mostly just talk about MMA on here, but it's mostly in that direction.
I think it's because it's an obsession for both of us where we can kind of hit on all of our points. But what's got you excited about movie news right now?
So first topic for me, man, it's something that hits a little close to home. I'm a big horror movie guy. We're coming off of Halloween. I got in all my favorites. I watched Halloween. I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a little bit of those. I watched a ton of Friday the 13th. And then you have like one of my favorite series, Scream. And Matt, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but they've recently announced a new Scream movie.
What'd they decide to call it?
Check this out. It's fucking original, Matt.
What
do you think they called it, actually? Because like it's so original. What do you think they called it?
I mean, they've been pretty consistent. They had Scream 1, or just Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had Scream 2, Scream 3, and then they just kept going on.
Yeah, Scream 4.
Yeah.
No monikers. So you wouldn't be shocked to hear this then. Scream 5 is just called Scream.
We're back.
No, they didn't even put that on there. That'd be way funnier, actually. It's like Scream. We're back, bitches.
So hopefully they're putting a new face to an old name because not a lot of innovation around what they're deciding to call this, huh?
No, they will not get any points for originality. I do have hope for the movie itself, though. I think that Scream 4 was money. Like, it was really good. The only bad one to me is Scream 3. If Scream 2 might be better than Scream 1. That's debatable.
Ooh, don't jump too deep into that conversation.
Whole different top 5.
We're
right?
holding that for
we
a top 5 for sure.
But I think it'd be a funny little thing, Matt, right now, if we did a little exercise. If we just looked at maybe what are some other movies that have had super unoriginal, like repeat names out there?
You already said Halloween. I feel like Halloween was an obvious
2018, we got Halloween, the sequel to the 1978 movie Halloween. It's like, so is it a remake? Is it a reboot? Like, what are we doing here?
One of the ones that I felt like is a little controversial, my man Sly Stallone, he's got a couple. He's got Rocky and then Rocky Balboa, which same but different.
Yeah, I think we give him a pass based on the fact that it's like he already told you in the 70s, like it's like Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3. He did the same thing as Scream. At least he added a name onto the end. He didn't. What if he just came out with Rocky again?
Well, he was like, if you didn't already know, last name Balboa.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay. I get it.
Movie is saved by one of the best speeches in his career, by the way. But moving on, we have Final Destination. And then we had its 2009 sequel, The Final Destination.
They put the. Very creative.
Yeah, like, because final wasn't final enough, you got to throw the on the front.
Well, they're not the only ones that are guilty of that, because The Fast and the Furious, and then The Fast and Furious.
I hate that you added a T onto the end of Furious the first time, too.
I didn't even mean to. I was going to say the again, and I got lost in translation.
Yeah, that one of my favorite franchises. We're going to give it a break. The Thing, and then they did a remake Is it a remake though, or is it a sequel? I think it's a prequel. That's what the new one was. So The Thing in 2011, I believe, is a prequel to The Thing in 1998. And in real time thinking about this, Matt, I think we might have to forgive them on this because it still is just The Thing.
Well, I was gonna say if it's the same story, but it's the prequel, it comes before.
It's the same
thing is still The Thing.
Exactly. So you couldn't call it The Thing 2 because The Thing 2 implies
that there's another thing.
Yeah, and there's not. This is the same.
It's just one thing.
Yeah, and then you'd actually have to go back and rewrite it because this is a prequel. You'd have to call the 1982 one The Thing 2, and that would get really confusing.
You'd have to go back in time.
That's more confusing than the Fast and the Furious timeline.
Back to the Future? Is this one of those two?
That's actually a good point. No, but I don't think there's a problem when you have a trilogy that are all called the same thing.
Okay.
That's fine because the same thing with Rocky. I think you leave it alone. Here's an interesting one: Shaft. You come out with a fucking sequel. You come out with 2 sequels because these are all in the same timeline. All 3 movies are just called Shaft.
I'll give them a pass on the first 2 because I think the Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson, the first one, probably a remake.
It wasn't meant to be in the same timeline.
Actually, the Shaft who's in the first movie does actually make an appearance in the Samuel L. Jackson movie. So
right.
Maybe he's handing down the torch. Who knows?
You're a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
But then they hit us 19 or 20 years later, and we're right back at it again with Shaft, baby.
And it's just like, I had a son, and he's Shaft. He's not even Shaft Jr. That movie should be called Shaft Jr.
Do you think instead of a torch, he's passing down like his strongest
monikers?
Slap?
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I thought you were saying Sam L was just passing down his like all of his characters. He was just gonna give down to the next person.
No, I don't.
His character from Jurassic Park.
I mean, that's one way. I mean, it's a great way. I guess we could like kind of wrap up this whole thing. Personal favorite, The Predator.
Yeah. Well, okay. The Predator, Matt, is your personal favorite because I think you should get slapped. You should get a Sam L fucking shaft slap for that.
I'd rather I didn't.
You're a bad mother. Shut your mouth, dude.
Motherfuckers. Let me rephrase. Predator. I meant to say The Predator, as in the Predator series.
Okay, because you keep saying The Predator.
I know, not that movie. Not the movie The Predator.
This is the problem. This is a perfect illustration of the issue with
sequels.
Calling yourself The Predator and having a sequel that's also just called Predators, and then having an original that's called Predator.
I get lost.
And honestly, you just made Predators look like bitches when you had to come out with a sequel called Predators, because I'm like, no, one killed all those people.
No, the first one, the only one, was a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And then you subsequently just kept making him less and less of a badass because you started making more of them.
And their way to make them more badass in the most recent one, have you seen the most recent one?
I did.
Fucking hate it, right? Olivia Munn.
Probably the only reason why I watched it.
Yeah, the problem was like there's the Predator dog. That's fucking stupid. There's also the fact, spoiler alert, the fact that the dog turns like
3,
good,
2, 1.
That's fucking wild.
Well, I wasn't okay with that because then the giant Predator, in a sense, could have possibly turned good. And then what is he, giant person?
The dog only turned good because they shoot it in the head and it doesn't die.
That's weird. That's weird.
That's crazy. Yeah. But then you have to make them look even. So this whole time there's been a bigger Predator, which I think we kind of already knew that, but like you don't need them. Like humans aren't required. You don't require like, and there was no sport in this. This whole fucking thing's a clusterfuck. I don't want to stay on that for too long.
Let's not stick to the negative because
we should do something at some point on the Predator movie series, though.
I'd love to, because that's a deep dive into something that starts with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who that if you want to talk about great lines from a movie, he's got about 3 of them in that movie. Come on, kill me. Come on, I want you to do it.
Do it.
Shout out to Tom Lawless on that one because he does the best Arnold Schwarzenegger impression for that one.
So this actually gets us perfectly into our next topic, Matt. We've named off a couple Predator movies. We've got Predator, Predator 2, we have Predators, and then we have The Predator. Literally, there's only 5 words used in all of those titles. They're coming out with the Predator 5, Matt. Or they're beginning stages of Predator 5. It got leaked on the interwebs this year.
Much to the dismay of one director. What's this guy's name? We have
Chris Trachtenberg.
Dan Trachtenberg.
Damn, I'm close.
Trachtenberg, you were close. But he was pretty pissed off. He's known from his film 10 Cloverfield Lane, but it was recently leaked that he's had this in his, I guess you could say, in his broom closet. He's had this on his desk. He
probably doesn't keep it in the broom closet.
I don't know, man. He stowed it away.
His super secret broom closet.
He certainly wasn't happy that the information got leaked. But one of the big things that does leak from this is the writer who's being kind of tasked with putting all this together is Patrick Eisen. You familiar with his work?
Who the fuck is that?
Patrick Eisen, this guy? He's written for Kingdom. which is the Frank Grillo show.
Good show. 2.5 seasons in. I give it a thumb up and approval.
Absolutely. He's also known for Amazon's original series, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, who is starring a personal fan favorite, one Jim Halpert from The Office.
Yeah. So, that's on the top of my, for the past 3 years, like, oh yeah, I got to watch that list,
It's in my list.
I think if it was on Netflix, I would have watched it by now. It's weird, isn't it? And it's just weird in general because it's like I have Amazon Prime. It's not like I don't have it. Like I just think that if it was on Netflix, I probably would have watched it.
Well, if it was on Netflix, it would be an action series. And we've already kind of talked about how action anything on Netflix kind of steers us away.
No, but action TV series, Matt. It's
point.
different rules than action movies.
It is very different. Neither here nor there. He's tapped as the writer. There's a lot of things that I guess we could look forward to, but what are you hoping to get out of this movie?
I'm cautiously, as always, I think me and you both go into things as pretty much cautiously optimistic. The last movie did not give me a lot of hope. Despite what it might have come off as, I actually do like Predators. In the original 2 sequels, the Danny Glover one, not quite as much, but if you can find a happy medium somewhere in there and you can just make I think the problem with Predators, even though it's good, is it's a very similar movie to the original, which that's fine, but I just think there's probably a more interesting way you could tell those stories, right?
I feel like they've been trying to put a different spin on this series, and they haven't really quite put their finger on it. I mean, we had the Alien versus Predator crossover.
Yeah, the second one is fucking bad, dude.
The second one is awful, but the first one...
So.
Yeah. I've been...
It's a little cheesy, but like...
I'm okay with cheesy movies.
That's fine. I think I would like it more, right? That movie leans more into action and like comedy, whereas I think that I would like those series to lean more into horror.
Yeah, the Predator should be something that I'm afraid of, and they did a really good job of that in those first movies. And maybe Predator 2 is a little bit tough to kind of say that he was scary.
That movie's a little weird, like that movie, but weird. It's funny. It's like it's a cult classic type weird. I like it. Yeah.
It has to be up there on something that I'd like to watch. But as I go into this cautiously optimistic, my one hope is that they can bring some sense of fear back to this character, because the Predator for me was a badass. Mm-hmm. I love the idea of him fighting the alien, because they get kind of set into this team of predators and they're fighting the alien, and it's an awesome sequence. It's an awesome concept, but it doesn't really fulfill the character.
There's also just, it seems like there would be a lot of stuff for them to go back to with Predator and Alien, of like history there that I think would be interesting to unpack. And I know for a fact there's a lot of comic books out there based around their history, as well as like even like source material they could take for like Batman has fought the Predator, I'm pretty sure, in comic books, right? So I'm not that you would make that in a movie thing, but I just think there's interesting things that you can do with the Predator character that aren't a jungle. That's why the second movie was so like interesting, right? Is because it takes place in New York City, but then subsequent movies have not been as good in the city. So I think you have to find a happy medium somewhere in there. One of the things I want to talk about before we move on from this movie is, how important do you think the leading actor is in it? Because the first 3 movies have pretty notable names, maybe Adrian Brody being on the lower end, but he's a good actor.
He's a well-known actor.
And they have a pretty good cast in that movie. But the most recent one, like we said, it's like Olivia Munn's really the most popular character, like most famous character in that movie. And she's not even like
she's not important.
It's
to
the
role.
dude from Suicide Squad, right? Is the guy.
He's the big guy.
Yeah. He plays like Captain whatever.
Captain Boomerang.
No, that's Jai Courtney, dude.
I just wanted to say Captain Boomerang.
Okay, yeah, it's flagging, Captain Flag, whatever. Who cares? How important do you think is the lead actor in something like this? Like, do you think you're going to see this probably anyways? But would you rather a cast of people you don't really know, and it's just like that way you don't know who's necessarily going to win, like live, die, this, that, or the other, or do you want like a face-off between one of your favorite actors and like, for lack of a better person to come into my mind, like The Rock or like a Hemsworth.
So it's interesting. I was just thinking Chris Hemsworth, because if I think about what I want from this movie, I need to feel like the world is going to end if this predator doesn't find someone who can stop it, and I need somebody to be that antagonist of the predator. What I don't want to happen is them to get so stuck and hung up on the cast list, because we've seen that prior to the Olivia Munn movies where they put 5 or 6 actors together, hoping that this is going to be a good film, where they're all kind of contrasting acting styles.
Yeah.
It's duly important to not only get a lead actor who's going to be able to do well with this film. Don't give me The Rock. maybe give me Chris Hemsworth, or also you could give me the guy who played Tarzan in the most recent
Alexander
live action film.
Skarsgård.
Guy looks great, can play in action movies.
Yeah.
I do need a good leading actor. It needs to be someone who's going to be able to fulfill that role. If you're going to go no name, that's about as no name as you can go for me.
I think the issue with the Adrian Brody character is it kind of brings the Predator down a little, because he's a smaller guy. He's not very physically imposing, and but at the same time, he doesn't come off as crafty either.
Nope.
You know, he wins on physicality.
He comes off as an old time Italian guy who's going to go walk his dog and drink his coffee.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's Adrian Brody to me.
To you, that's him.
Yeah. Okay. I saw him in the Peaky Blinders.
I'm going to research and I'll come back and tell you if I agree or not.
That's how I feel about it.
But like the thing about the first one is like Arnold is like larger than life, right? Yes. And that's why I think guys like Hemsworth, Olympia, dude. Like Hemsworth, The Rock, like those guys come to mind, because like that elevates the Predator.
Yep.
When I see that opposite human character, who I'm like, Arnie is physically imposing, but he's also crafty, right? Like
I like that you called him Arnie.
He is.
Arnie.
It's Arnie, dude.
Okay, I'm with it.
It's good old Arnie Stewart.
I'm okay with it.
We're on a first name basis. I just like, he's crafty, right? He does the mud. He sets up traps, all that stuff. But at the same time, when it comes like to blows, he's able to hold his own in a way, I think, that I don't really like. Danny Glover, were you going to believe that from him? No.
No. I think now more than ever, this is the type of movie that we need to have that character that's going to be able to identify with like a culture that the kind of Predator brings. We've talked a little bit about Predator. When we talk about main character kind of being the like, you can't make a movie without this guy. We got some news that Deadpool 3 just got some writers signed up. And when we think about that type of actor, Ryan Reynolds, that man, can you see a Deadpool movie without Ryan Reynolds?
No, I mean, he's made, the character's made for him almost more than he's made for the character. What's important to mention here, Matt, is not only that it got new writers because it's going to be made by Marvel. And I think that's the bigger piece to this.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things to come out of it. It keeps its rated R tag, which is
it's huge. That's
huge
massive. Yeah.
Point of controversy when Disney purchased the rights and they had the Fox merger and all that.
But you know, they did the test water, like they stuck their toe in the water with the PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2, was it? Or is it both movies?
So it was Deadpool 2. Deadpool 1 was solely Fox. Okay. I know that Deadpool 2 was, when the merger first happened, Deadpool 2 was kind of like their release, like, hey, this is what we're going to do with the franchise, but we're not really sure if we can go further than this. Mm-hmm. And now, to your point, we're getting the backing by Marvel. We're getting the studio and Ryan Reynolds sitting with different writers. They're putting a lot of emphasis on this movie to make it what everybody wants it to be.
Does it, in a way, though, are you worried that it might like lose its soul a little bit? Just because, you know, that was his baby. You know, the reason that movie gets made is because of like viral marketing that he was a large part in, right? Like his backing, he picks the people, or I am sure had a part in picking the people who wrote and directed those. And I think there was an issue with the staff.
So he had sit downs.
Yeah.
All the sit downs with the writing staff was him, and it was basically his decision along with the studio.
They might have
to bring in the new writers.
Did they lose somebody between the first and second movie? Was it like a director or something that they lost?
I took it down. So we had, bear with me, David Leitch. I hope I'm saying his name right. He was the director of part 2, and he was not a part of any of the conversations with the writers and directors. So that's a clear kind of sign that he's probably not going to be brought back for part 3.
Yeah, so I just wonder how that affects like Ryan Reynolds, where you go from probably having a lot of your fingerprints all over the product, right? To now, it's almost like you're like sold out to a bigger entity at this point, and you're gonna have to maybe watch your baby get stripped down a lot. And I know for us as fans, we're looking on it from the outside perspective, and it's like Kevin Feige has done no wrong as far as the Avengers saga has been concerned, so we trust him, and I'm sure Ryan Reynolds has to have faith somewhere in there. But it's got to be a little nerve-wracking to give up that type of control, because I don't think Disney has to sign to be like, hey, Ryan Reynolds, you're so important to us that you can make decisions in this. Like, Disney's the ultimate power holder of all companies.
I do believe that, but I also do believe that if it isn't broke, don't fix it, kind of comes to mind when I think about this. Because if you look at the second movie was a good movie.
I like it, yeah.
Very good movie. I liked it. difficult to say whether or not it's better than the first.
It's not better than the first. I wouldn't say that. It's not like it's too. I don't know. It's just not funny.
I get it. I get that. When you're looking at the idea of a third movie, yes, you can come in with creative control. You can have the final say. I think it's very difficult to take Ryan Reynolds' fingerprint off of this, because I think, to your point, the popularity of this film was because he was out on social media. He's out there doing the global tours as Deadpool. You can't touch that. And I think Disney kind of knows that, and we saw a little bit of that with Star Wars in a sense. But even then, they got their Disney fingerprint all over it. But I think
that might concern you more than anything, though, is looking at what happens when like people who aren't in the original like the ideas of that character, whether it's rated, the fact that it's rated R gives us hope that the character is going to remain what it's been. But those movies are like, obviously the swearing and the overall verbiage in that movie is very aggressive, but even the violence is very aggressive. You're seeing holes through people's bodies, like this part where his legs, like you see a dick, you see a baby dick.
Do you remember the first sequence in the first movie?
Yes.
It's slow motion of him shooting a dude through the asshole.
Yes.
And he's also taking a cigarette lighter from the truck, sticking it in the guy's mouth, and then punching him in the face. It's all graphic.
I just wonder how much of that Disney allows us to maintain. I'm hopeful with the R rating that it's like we can do whatever the fuck we want to. But then if you keep an R rating for this, what do you do if you inevitably want to write his character somehow into? Does he fit in the Avenger universe? That's a whole other conversation. From star power perspective, we agree that he has to. But where does he fit in? Because I think he only fits in with the X-Men necessarily. Like
he only fits in with the X-Men. But if the X-Men is, I really hope that they revive it in a much better way than they've done with these most recent films. Yeah. If it's done correctly, Deadpool plays directly into...
He can work with anything because of his character, right? Because he can step outside of stuff. But.
We get a small glimpse of that in the second movie when he visits the mansion. Mm-hmm. And he sees Colossus, and I forget the other girl's name. But
super megasonic nuclear warhead or something.
Sure, that sounds about right.
Something girl.
But that door is open, and you see all of it.
The first class cast.
Everybody's in there. He could very easily fit into that because he breaks that fourth wall. He can walk into the danger room or the war room and say something along the lines of, "Oh, that's our plan? Why don't we just shoot each other in the asshole?" But you're only going to get a limited amount of that when you mix him with the X-Men.
How much shooting in the asshole can you say in a Disney movie?
Exactly.
And I think that's the only way you can do it, because there's no way to jump to me from like Deadpool can't be on his own and then all of a sudden be in like the
Guardians
Avengers
of the Galaxy.
world. You know, like he's got to get. I think you have to introduce X-Men and then bring them in. But did you see? I think, and we don't have it here, but I do think I read this, that it's supposed to be written as if it's taking place during Endgame. So the third movie, I thought I had read that today, and you know, like when stuff gets announced, there's obviously so much bullshit, and like the movie's not even fucking written yet, so we don't know that any of this is true. But I think I did read that it is supposed to possibly take place within that universe.
No, we'll take some time to do a little bit more deeper diving. I mean, the big.
There's not even a trailer. There's not even anything on paper yet. But yeah, I like that. I believe that's what I had seen, and that's how that was interesting when I read that, because I was like, okay, like, because that's got to affect him. Like, if he's in the same universe, then like, and he just sees somebody disappear in front of him, you know, whatever it is. It'd
be interesting to see how that affects his life. Who is it that disappears in his life? Is it the little fat kid from the second movie? Because they're hanging out.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could be Domino.
Maybe that's how Cable goes away.
Could be anybody.
Like Cable's character disappears from this universe.
Whoa. Are we writing stuff right now?
Yeah.
We probably should be. But you know who is writing? The Molyneux sisters. Are you familiar with them at all?
No idea who they are.
So they're the writers that Ryan Reynolds in the studio picked. I know them more so because of the research that I've done. I watch Bob's Burgers.
Not a fan.
They're the writers, producers of Bob's Burgers. You got to give them some credit, dude. They've got like 8 Emmy nominations in a row. I'm pretty sure that's worth some weight.
I said I'm not a fan. I'm not saying it's not good. I think that Fox has terrible comedies except for The Simpsons. So
I think the ability to separate their shows is very difficult. You know, when you had Family Guy go to the Cleveland show, they all feel like one
spawns
show.
of Family Guy, right? Like
They're the
even
Marvel universe.
American Dad, like they just all feel like spawns of Family Guy to me.
Well, the Molyneux sisters, they have a new show coming out called The Great North, and it's pretty much an Alaskan version of Bob's Burgers.
Interesting.
So they do have some clout, to say the least. They have the credibility. It'll be interesting to see what they can do with this.
I wonder, like, though they're coming from TV and they're coming from a TV show. I just wonder where like Marvel looked and were like, that's who we should have. But they've gone outside of the box, I guess, for a few of their options.
I'll take a stab and say somewhat clean, dirty comedy.
Yeah.
Because Bob's Burgers is very good at getting those one-liners in, and they also have kids on the show that are using some of that comedy and humor. It'd be interesting to see why they chose them, though.
Yeah, make no mistake. As soon as I saw that it was a person from Bob's Burgers, I don't watch the show, but I'm familiar with it enough, and I did understand that I'm like, okay, they have kind of the right sense of humor to maybe work for this character. And I didn't think about what you just said, but you're 100% right that they probably did look at like
clean humor.
If you're, it's like the Family Guy guys, the South, like whether it's South Park, it's like there's certain humor that like has found ways to work on TV. And I mean, I guess South Park's a little more on the nose about stuff. Even Family Guy is.
So, Family Guy's more on the nose. With Bob's Burgers, it's very similar to those shows, but they do pull back the reins a little bit. And I think that's why they've been wildly successful on Fox compared to some of their other shows.
Yeah, I'm another one where cautiously, not even cautiously, I think I'm just optimistic. Like
this one I'm optimistic about.
Ryan Reynolds for me can pretty much do no wrong since the year 2004 Just Friends.
Man, that was a good movie too.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Right,
I could have said 2001 and said Blade Trilogy, but I don't know if I consider that.
That's going far, way too far back.
Let's see if I can keep naming the right years and stuff. 2008's definitely maybe. Good movie.
Scotty's on fire.
Yeah.
Scotty's on fire.
That's what I got.
I'll take it.
I can name years for movies.
We're taking the cautiously out of it. 100% optimistic for this one.
Yeah, just optimistic.
Definitely. All right, Lenny. Moving on to a film that we know is locked and loaded, ready to be released, and it's coming home for Christmas, baby.
It is coming on Christmas. Yes, sir.
Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes, we're finally getting a movie release. I guess like maybe what was that? Mulan was something people were kind of looking forward to.
Still haven't seen it.
No, neither one of us would. I don't.
I'm not paying for premium.
It didn't get good enough reviews. I think if it had got like if it comes out something like that is 85-90% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think eventually you find a way to come across it. But I digress. We have something that's actually appealing and for us to look forward to, and possibly better options too than what that we got with Mulan. Like Mulan just had too much like strings attached, and I get like Wonder Woman's gonna lose money. Like there's no way this movie makes money, right? Like so I get it.
I mean, hence why they're doing a kind of like a dual release. They're giving us both options. We get to if you want to take to the theater, you can do so, but they're also giving the option to be able to stream it on Disney Plus. Not Disney Plus, the HBO Max.
HBO Max, which are you a member?
I am a member.
Max?
Yes,
I am as well. So that is one of those. I push it to the limit, personally. So that is one of the big things. I'm like, okay, like I'm glad I'm gonna get to see this, and I don't have to spend money on it. That's pretty dope. I guess in my head, I'm actually a little on the fence here, Matt. Interestingly enough, we had a conversation a couple months back about the movies and going to the movies. Let's give an update. Have you gone to the movies?
I haven't.
I
haven't. Have you gone to the movies?
No. Weirdly enough.
I'm more interested to see why you haven't, because I know that was something that you were interested in doing and seeing how to experience that after COVID-19.
My initial reason. So I gave like most of my opinion on that podcast we did in what was now like August or something. I feel like
seems like forever.
Now, though, along the way, I think somewhere in September, probably shortly after that conversation, what actually swayed me to not go back to the movies wasn't what was in the theaters, because I thought there's been some interesting throwback stuff that they've had in there.
You were going to watch Tenet, weren't you?
Yeah, I actually bought tickets to Tenet once, too.
Okay.
Here's what happened, Matt. The Tenet tickets didn't really work out because I was working, but also I read on the website as I bought my tickets that they don't serve concessions, or they weren't serving concessions. And I understand for most people where it's like it's already overpriced and like fuck off.
No, that's the only thing that you enjoy about the movies, man.
Well, it's something like the ambiance is most of what I like. Okay,
no,
here's
I'm
the thing.
Saying you personally,
yeah, like I would watch movies at home. No, but the ambiance in general. But I would watch movies at home, right? but I want the movie theater popcorn. like I want to butter my own fucking popcorn. And I hate it when I read that they weren't going to let me, and I couldn't understand why, because I was like, what? You're not putting your hands all over my popcorn, right? And you shouldn't put your hands all over the butter that I'm putting on the popcorn. So what's the real fucking issue here?
Yeah, you have a butter dispenser.
Yes. Just give out cups of butter. Like if you go to like a restaurant now, right? They give you like cups of Parmesan cheese. They give you
But
cups
I still think
of
that the butter
salt.
dispenser works because you're not touching it. If anything, it's in like a bag.
Here's a question. Why don't you just evolve the technology and find one that's a motion sensor? So instead of one that has a button that I press to pump out the butter, I just hold the bag underneath it.
Well, you know why that wouldn't happen, Lenny?
Because
then you're basically you're a magician.
Yeah,
trying to get the butter, and every time you move your bag, the butter comes out, and you're just like, you've been in the bathrooms.
So you
dude.
have to go in at like a lean. I think you have to like scoop.
No,
in the butter.
you gotta Honda.
We're going way too far in this
Sorry.
That honest to God, that is as silly as that might sound to some people and as petty as it might be. I'm not the guy who goes to the gas station next to the movie theater and buys some Skittles and a fucking Snickers and goes in there. You know,
Yeah.
like I buy the drink, I buy the popcorn, but I get the whole experience. Like
I spent $75 on my movie experience.
I spend
I'm
$20 on my
I'm
movie
kidding.
experience. But yeah, so I have not gone back. This may be. Also, it's just movies weren't big enough. Like the Tenet thing, like was interesting, but things just didn't line up. This is one that, even though I could watch it on Christmas Day in my house, I think what you might find out, Matt, is I check movie times on Christmas Day.
Really?
And go see this.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised. I could see you doing that because
I have a lot of time to think about it, fortunately. So
when I looked at the trailer to this movie, it's some could say that it sang to me. It had that 80s feel. Mind you, I wasn't born in the 80s.
It's definitely a vibe.
But I dig the 80s music.
As an 80s baby, Matt, I can tell you that's exactly what it was like.
You know what? You're going to get away with that. Someone will eventually. If I had D here with a little bit more credibility on the 80s platform,
are you going to tell me as a 90s baby that I'm not an 80s baby, Matt? You're as 90 as they come, bro.
You're as much an 80s baby as I am.
I'm saying that. That's
right
actually 100%.
I'm saying that right now.
I can tell you on just a pure math basis, percentages. We're just playing percentages.
Were you born in 1984?
No,
because that's when this movie is based
Good
out
point.
of. Wonder Woman 1984, baby.
Chris Pine, was he born in 1984? What year did the first one take place?
1918.
Last year the Red Sox had won a World Series.
How did I know you were going to somehow tie that into it? When I was looking up these notes, I'm like,
I know
gonna
one
get that
fact
reference.
about the year 1918.
Well, I know another fact. Chris Pine died in that movie. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, dude, we gotta always
Sorry.
lead with a 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert. Chris Pine perished in that movie in 1918, and I'm watching this trailer for 1984, and he's back, baby.
I'm rethinking back to his death, Matt, in like trying to envision what happened in the sky that night. Do you think that there was probably a bird? No, this is what happened. So there's a bird flying by. It was a big bird, like massive bird.
Did you say it was Big Bird?
It was, Big Bird was flying by. And he saw it. He was like, this is my chance. So he shoots back at the shit in the back of the plane as he jumps out. And he lands on the back of this bird. And this bird flies him to safety.
Have you recently watched The Lord of the Rings?
No, Rescuers Down Under.
Okay. Love Rescuers Down Under. Giant Golden Eagle. 100% okay with that.
Gotcha.
Not going to argue with you. Might be the best plot you've ever thought of. I think that's probably what happened.
Or did he become a star? Maybe he's been. Oh, okay. So I've never seen this movie, but people have told me about it recently. Interstellar.
Another movie that I've heard of. Haven't seen it.
Yeah, we suck. But I know. I'm pretty sure. Spoiler 3, 2, 1. I think the plot of this movie is you go to space, you end up in a different time dimension, and a lot of it's talking about how time moves differently. So they come back younger than people who are younger than them when they were.
Yeah.
When they left. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe Chris Pine gets rocketed into space. While he's out there floating about, he's staying the same age. He's just come back into the atmosphere.
what could have happened.
Okay.
I'm dislodging what you just said because I don't think that's what happened.
Fair enough.
I think when he was in the sky and he blew up the booms behind him, there were so many bums that it created a portal in which he was able to time travel. And he went from 1918 to 1981. Flip the numbers. He goes to 81, ends up in a hospital from time trauma.
Like Rick Grimes.
Like Rick Grimes. Exactly like Rick Grimes. Yeah. Pimps himself out for 3 years, ends up running into Wonder Woman in 1984. So you think
Chris Pine's been slutting it up for 3 years, making it by?
I think he was Chris Pine European
Excuse
gigolo.
me, sir. Do you have some more?
Would you like a spot of dick, sir? 100%, dude. That's exactly what Chris Pine was doing.
For some reason, when you said, would you like a spot of dick, I imagined a small teacup on a small plate with a dick inside of it.
That's one way you can have it.
Weird. Yeah. So how do you think that, like, how could they possibly explain that this man is, like, we've already got, I don't understand how they're going to do this. I couldn't
find anything.
But the director, what's her name?
Patty Jenkins.
Betty Sue.
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. She.
Don't disrespect her, dude. Patty Jenkins is dope.
So she said that it's going to make sense, right? She was like, it's going to make perfect fucking sense because we're the DC universe and we've never done something that doesn't make sense.
She said
we're not currently rewriting an entire movie into a four fucking hour miniseries.
No,
because
that's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing.
We didn't make Batman vs Superman and then have to put a deluxe version out that was significantly better to make it an okay movie.
I feel like you're making a lot of points that have never been brought up before.
Yeah, no.
Oh, they've been brought up.
No, these haven't been trampled.
Listen, Patty Jenkins is saying, she said she guarantees that we're going to understand why Chris Pine was brought back. That she didn't just bring him back for a pretty face.
Guarantee.
I might have.
You fluffed that up.
I might have fluffed it a little bit.
Okay, because dude, if you told me that there was a quote on her of her being like, I guarantee that this movie is going to be the best movie you've ever seen, I'd be like, okay, no, she's right. I can deal with Chris Pine. Like, it's probably going to make a lot of sense.
I mean, he's not bad. He was good in the first one. We were talking about the scene where she had an explosion and couldn't hear him. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, hey, I'm going to go do some cool shit right now. All right? You hang out here. Hold my watch. I'll be back. And it just takes off.
Maybe the watch was a time travel device.
You're fucking welcome.
Dude. Okay, so Harry Potter. A port key. That's been a port key this whole time.
I don't know. You're going too deep into the Harry Potter stuff. You know that I've surface level, shallow at best knowledge on Harry Potter.
Can the people in the world, if people actually watch this, tell me, is Harry Potter a Christmas movie?
I'm pretty sure there's a Christmas time in the movie.
No, but like, so every movie I'm pretty sure has Christmas time in it. And every year around Christmas, ABC runs all of the Harry Potter movies in a Christmas lead up. And ABC famously is like a 20 whatever nights of Christmas they used to do, right? Mm-hmm. Get back to me in the chat, y'all.
Yeah, hit us in the chat. Let us know if there's any fruit to that tree.
Yeah, to my labors.
Yeah, I don't think
to my looms.
Optimistic, cautiously optimistic. Are you ready for this one?
I'm fully optimistic. It's just because I think it's withdrawals at this point. Yeah. Like, there's been no movies that have been that exciting released in like a year at this fucking point. And all we get is bad news. So coming into this week and it's like, hey, you're going to have a like full-fledged blockbuster movie, a summer blockbuster level movie. We're dropping it on your ass.
And you actually dropped it because we've been, well, they're going to. They've released the date. I mean, how many movies have already been pushed back?
Yeah, they could pull back on this one.
So we were talking about some of the ones that were supposed to release.
There's been some good ones that were supposed to. We still had them on the agenda this year.
Death on the Nile.
A sequel to Murder on the Orient Express.
Banger.
Excuse my language.
We're not getting that. We talked about Sexy Ryan Reynolds. He was supposed to come out with another movie, Free Game.
Free Guy.
Yeah. Should have been a free game.
It's about a game, but it's Free Guy.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about that movie at some point because I'm fucking excited.
I am excited, and they're not giving it to us. I think I have a right to be upset.
One movie that's still on the docket that they haven't confirmed or nor denied is going to happen. And I know our third chair, who's sometimes in here with us, D'Angelo, is hopeful. Coming to America 2.
He said he was hopeful, but he didn't really care for it. He said, I don't want to know what you're doing with your queen in Zamunda, I think was his quote.
Yeah, it seems mean.
I don't know if he'd be interested in this, but that's another one.
I don't know if that movie's ever coming out either. That's a whole other conversation. I just don't know.
I feel like you're saying that right now. I feel the exact same way about Black Widow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't think it's coming?
It kind of feels like it's not. Like they went hardcore in the paint for like 3 months showing you trailers. Have you seen anything on Black Widow lately?
I mean, it just comes down to the biggest reality of this whole scenario, and it's why it's so shocking that Wonder Woman has committed to the December 25th release date. Because let's be real, like if I'm not going to the movies, most people ain't going to the fucking movies.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that I'm probably a good barometer for whether or not people would go to the movies or not. And if I'm not going, there's just not a lot. And I have significant amount of times, like weekly, I've probably checked looking at tickets and being like, well, there's nobody in that theater. Maybe go kill a couple hours, you know? I just think that they're not making money. And of all companies, Disney, and in this case, Warner Brothers, I'm sure can afford to lose on a movie. But you don't make a $100 million budgeted movie to lose it all.
Well, we talked a little bit about that months past when we were talking about what it would look like to return to the movies and what movies could possibly look like afterwards. Do you think that all these big budget films that we're used to seeing, what do these studios do? Do they turn into Netflix at this point? Because Netflix has been known for kind of being in debt for the amount of movies that they're putting, or the amount of money that they're putting into their films, and then it going straight to Netflix and nobody watching it. Is that the future of big film?
I wonder if Netflix, if they could have known a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, like, hey, there's going to be a huge fucking pandemic and all these blockbuster huge movies were coming, would they have not paid Adam Sandler infinity dollars for a lifetime for all of his bad movies?
Oh, that's Captain.
You know, like, I just think that, like, hey, they can't pay for Free Guy. Like, that seems like a Netflix fucking movie, right? Like that. You haven't even seen the trailer. You agree with me?
Because
just think about it, right?
Yeah.
It just feels like it's Netflix.
Read
movie.
the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Movie about a guy that's based in a video game.
Yes.
Yeah, Netflix, man.
It's like a Groundhog's Day type scenario. It seems. Yeah. It's I just wonder if they could, because they probably just don't have the money to do it now, right? To like justify, hey, are we going to get enough new subscribers paying for Death on the Nile or something like that to get people to our audience?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I wonder that about Disney in the sense, because we've seen what they tried to do with Mulan.
I would pay for Black Widow, though.
I would pay for Black Widow.
That's the difference there.
But there's a hold up on their animated movies too. Soul was one that was supposed to hit Disney. I'm a sucker for Disney Pixar movies.
Yeah.
That is probably going to follow the same blueprint as Mulan, but what's the budget being put into it, and are you actually seeing a return on that investment?
There's something about their whole release window, right? Because they have their TV series too that are seemingly ready to go, and they're just not out. And I get that, like, you have The Mandalorian running right now, but why can't you have both on there at the same time? Why aren't we hearing more about that? It just seems like Disney is really hesitant when it's like, of all people, like, you're not even going to lose if you put the shit out on your platform.
In a time where content is extremely powerful, right? If you're putting out content right now, it's gonna get out there. Everybody who's interested in watching, so like you said it yourself, you're like, we feel starved of like a good film, a good movie to look forward to. It is a wonder why they're kind of holding on to some of that stuff. And I was excited that The Mandalorian came out. It's doing really well. But then I'm done watching The Mandalorian. I'm not going to watch it 5 more times. Give me something else to watch.
My thing with that show, I've not seen a single minute of it. I'm planning on waiting another season. And then, to your point, I think that they've been smart in doing weekly releases, because
that makes sense.
There's a window for that right now that I think people are willing to wait. And especially with no commercials in a TV show, you feel a little bit, I think, even more willing to put up with that. But when everybody else is like, damn, I'd really like to watch some more Mandalorian, I'm like, I'm going to pick this up and watch it now.
No, it's a good show. It's definitely worth the watch. Shout out to Pedro Pascal, who's under the bucket in The Mandalorian, but is also making an appearance as the main villain in Wonder Woman 1984.
Do we know that he's definitely the main villain, though?
All I'm saying is the first name that comes up, and based on what I've seen in the trailer, looks like the bad guy.
Because I'm big old skeptical eyes at Kristen Wiig. I'm feeling like she has something to do with Steve.
Who's
Trevor
to say we can't have two villains? What if Pedro Pascal is the guy who brings Steve back, and Kristen Wiig is the chick that's trying to bang him behind Wonder Woman's back? Maybe she's the chick that was banging him for 3 years before Woman Woman came in the picture.
Is this like a reverse Pretty Woman situation?
It might be.
Okay.
Yeah. But Kristen Wiig playing Cheetah looked pretty good in the trailer.
I'll say it again. I'm excited. And Bailey, thank you for making your presence known. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's great to have a movie on the docket. Something to look forward to. Cross our fingers. We're still a month and a half out or a month out from this.
We're staying strong, man. I think it's coming.
From this happening, and right after that, dude, 2020 is fucking over. So let's move on to the next one.
Oh, looking forward to putting 2020 in the rear view. Looking forward to getting movies back out, whether it's in movie theaters or we're hitting, big time movies hitting straight to streaming. Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to? Hit us in the chat. Bust up the comment section. Let us know what you're looking forward to. Let us know what you're thinking of Wonder Woman 1984 if you've had the chance to check out the new trailers.
Yo, Matt.
What's up, buddy?
Can we put something on wax before we get out of here?
100%.
We're gonna end off with a quick MMA question.
Oh yeah.
For the people who make it to this point, thank you.
Like, comment, share, subscribe.
We are filming this on a Saturday. There is a UFC main event tonight. Let's throw a quick prediction out so we can laugh at ourselves in a couple days.
Okay, so looking at the main event, we got Davison Figueroa versus Alex Perez.
I think Figueiredo.
Figueroa.
Okay, killed it.
We're killing it.
Yeah.
For the 125-pound championship, Figueroa coming off of a big win over Joseph Benavidez.
Yeah, Davey. He's looking good right now.
He's looking good. Who's your pick in this fight?
I mean him. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's winning.
So I'm actually flipping that. I'm going Alex Perez. I think Alex Perez is pretty legit at that weight class. Talking a lot of shit about Cody Garbrandt. Maybe he takes the strap and welcomes Cody to 125 pounds.
Guys, I feel like we might have got the guy we're going to laugh at next week. What about is Valentina Shevchenko?
Oh, yeah.
Is she going to retain?
I think that one's the one that's obvious. I think there is not a fighter.
She's top 10 in the world, pound for pound, men or women.
Man or woman.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody taking her away from that title. It'll be more interesting to see how she does it. RIP to Jennifer Maya. Hope you make it out of there.
Shevchenko's electric every time out there. She's getting the win. She's finishing sometime in the first 5. In the total 5, not first 5, because there's only 5.
She's finishing in the first 5 minutes, perhaps. I think so. I'm going to go with that.
I don't think the first 5 minutes. I think it's going to go a couple rounds, but clear difference here. Just wanted to get that in there. It's been fun, buddy. Glad we got back in here.
Felt good to get back in here, get some content out there. We apologize for missing you guys last week, but make sure you check us out. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
Instagram at For Those With Good Taste. On Twitter at Good Taste Live. Find us there. Please tell a friend as well. We appreciate you. Love you as always, guys. Peace out.
Later, guys.